Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Teachings. Alright guys, hope everybody is having great Sunday and or great Saturday. Hope all of you are having a great weekend. Anyways guys, today's recap is for Friday and we're going to talk about our earning plays, talk a little bit about the market. We'll look at see how the Lotto Friday was. It's a Lotto Friday special, so we'll talk about it. So let's before starting, let's do a quick introduction. Anybody who's new to me, new to my Twitter, new to my community, guys, all these trade recaps and teachings are from all the trade ideas that either I discuss on my Twitter, either I share in my community, or I talk about that with you guys in a previous YouTube videos. We always trade fixed system. My fixed system, a repeatable system, thousands of traders across the world use it consistently to trade consistently. We trade fixed setups. We have a fixed trading system, trading setups that we trade again and again and again. When those setups work, we make good profits. When those setups do not work, we lose a little bit. That's fine. But the system is very probable, highly probable, and the setups are highly probable that we trade. If you want to learn about Ripster EMA Clouds, you can either Google it, you can Google YouTube. There's a lot of information out there. A lot of other traders have used my system as well, so you can find, or you can go to my website ripstereducation.com and read it, or you can join the community, watch my webinars, and of course you can watch all my previous YouTube recaps, over hundreds and hundreds of recaps, which will teach you every setup, right? We can use it for day trade, swing trade, and investing. I try to cover mostly the day trade in these videos. If there's we'll talk about a loser with swing today as well. So anyways, my team creates a game plan every day. You can see today's game plan. In the pre-market, we spend 1 hour to make the game plan for everyone. You can see we had MRVL, DELL, ULTA, LULU, MDB. Those were our top earning plays. We have some news plays. We have some breakout plays. We have some upgrades and downgrades, and we watch everything. We had a BABA as well. So let's see. So let's go and we're gonna check. Sorry, I was multitasking here. So let's look at what else we prepare in the pre-market. We create something called Ripster Day 2, Day 3 setups. This is a strategy that I invented. There were a bunch of Day 2, Day 3 setups. You can see CRM was Day 2, Day 3 setup. Then we had AFRM, which was a Day 2, Day 3 setup. So we try to trade the day 2, day 3 setups as well with the repeatable strategy that we have built. We'll talk about a few of those, and not all of these stocks will trigger. Most of my community, they know the system, they have learned the system. They don't wait on me to tell them what to do, most of the community, because we are not an alert service, but I still guide through the trades on the voice. I talk about, guide through any setup in the my alerts feed on the voice. So we go through all these setups, and anything that triggers, we try to trade them, make money, have a profitable, consistent day. In addition to that, we also provide daily levels for the marketplace. What is a marketplace? Marketplace that's dependent on the market, the stock market indices that moves with the market: SPY, QQQ, IWM, VIX, Apple, Microsoft, AMD, Nvidia, Netflix, Boeing, Amazon, Meta, Tesla, and of course we trade semiconductors every day. If it's a trending day, semiconductors really provide us good trades. If it's a choppy day, we stay away from the marketplace. We had a choppy morning. We will discuss the chop, and we will discuss the chop today. It's a good time to discuss that. Will definitely a good lesson, so we'll cover that as well. So and I'm on the voice first few hours of the market, and then I also stay on the voice if anything, if needed, to discuss any more ideas or plays. So anyways, let's start with a recap. Watch. I will show you what was a pre-market game plan. Then I will show you what was my comments about that trade. If I take that trade, sometimes I show that as well. But try to understand the different setups. See how the Ripster EMA Clouds tells you if it's bullish or bearish, you should buy puts or calls. So give special attention to that. Understand how SPY QQQ moves. There's a lot to learn. Let's start. All right, so let's start with talking about SPY QQQ today. There's a lot to learn on SPY Qs today, right? So what was happening? You need to understand. I covered this in our SPY QQ webinar as well. So you see that what SPY is doing, right? In the morning, it was stuck in this range. I'm not going to take too much time. It was stuck in this range. It was stuck in this range, and it was stuck in this range. So when it's stuck, there's neither a long, neither a short. Any setup is after we get out of that range. That's what I said. No direction yet, but holding the clouds. Keep eyes on the range for a push after 10 a.m. trend time, right? So chop continues. We stick in the range. We try to long it, it didn't work, and then we wait. It's chop, 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 chop. Now something happened later. Let's see. So if you look here, when I was talking about this, right, and then watch carefully, right? So we are in this range. Important to understand this concept of range. And now look, once we break that range, so you see that range is breaking. So you see my tweet, I talk about the range is breaking, watch the VIX, and what happens after that? It retests the support, and that's a short. You short right here. That's where you short. You short the EMA Clouds, you short the retest. If you miss the initial short, you short the retest. And there was a great call in the community by Raga on the retest. And you see, we fill the gap because there's a gap down there. So that's the short. That's the short on the market. Right now, that's the short. If you did that short, and let's look at the option traders, the puts, let's see, there was, 561 put. That put went from, once this happened at 1040s, that put went from, let's see, it went from $30 all the way to, by the end it was like $360, right? Almost more than 100% was the trade on the puts, if you want to trade the puts. But the point what I'm trying to show you guys here is this was the trade. There was no trade earlier, and this was the trade. And that's what I covered, and that's what I tweeted about as well. And you can see that my guidance, we tried to long the QQs. That trade did not work for us. But when we see that when it breaks that, that's when you short it. And there was a nice call out by Raga today in the community as well. He called out that the SPY puts on a retest here, right? It was a midday setup, and he called out, and a lot of community traders nailed that short. I was busy in the webinar later in the day, but I just want to point out this cloud reversal, right? So you hold the shorts, and I told everyone, that's what I said. Okay, look what I'm saying here. I'll show you guys right now. Read here carefully. Now at yesterday lows, okay, right here, empty Qs at MTF cloud. So this is an ideal place to bounce. If you want to trade the bounce, this is ideal place to bounce. But VIX has to break down for that to work, right? So VIX has to break down right there. Watch it carefully. 1230, VIX breaks down, SPY bounces. You have a clean, you can do that. You can take that trade. It's like a C minus trade. You can take that bounce, but the real bounce comes when the Q SPY, always the first target is 3450. When this happens, I was on the webinar at that time, but I did send some price alerts there. Let's see if I can show you. You see that curl test, there was this price alert, and then there was a 3450 breakout alert. So when VIX is rejecting there, and you know that, right? So the real reversal came here. You see that 512 curls, and then there's this 3450 curls. I even sent a price alert here to the community. You can see here, and then that's it. We go back into the range. We reclaim the previous support, and then we pushed, and of course we got a end of the day squeeze. But the point is, you can easily understand where were the trades. There was a short trade here. There was probably a long C minus trade here because we were at yesterday lows, and MTF cloud bounce on QQQs, and there was a long trade here. There was a long trade here. So these were the setups. There was no trade here, but there was a trade here, and that's what we do. A lot of traders in the community traded this. A lot of traders shorted this. Nice job by Raga in the community alerting this retest. That was nice. So just wanted to teach you guys the market personality for today. Looking at the bigger picture on SPY. Let's see. SPY is ready for a breakout. All-time highs is pretty close. We'll see what happens. We have tried it already once, maybe double top or something. We'll see. But right now the market is bullish. So let's not make our bias based upon just our personal opinion. We'll see how it goes. Let's go to the next one. All right, guys, let's look at Intel now. Next one, right? I'm just gonna go fast through all the setups, and I will show you my time-stamped comments and commentary. So let's see what was happening with Intel. So So Intel was kind of tricky. I mean, let's see. So the plan on Intel was there's going as Intel neutral bias extended 512 pullback possible. Breakout is 2150. Breakout is 2150. The support is 2080 or 2110. So you see that, right? This is the support right here. This is amateur candle. I talk about it all the time. You don't have to trade the amateur. I traded the amateur. I try to short it in the amateur. When it is swiped back, I got out like 10 cents, 10, 15 cents. And then it turned bullish. And then it confirmed bullish when it broke out of here, just like AFRM yesterday. And that was a long, right? So we had a plan. You don't trade the amateur move and you trade the trend move if you want to. I shorted it, but then the long worked much better than the short. And let's see. So you see that 512 short versus the highs. I'm doing the amateur move, and that didn't work. I got out. And but I did tell everyone that no short signal confirmed. You see that I tell her right after 5 minutes, and then we reclaim the 512s, and then it confirms the breakout over the pre-market highs, and then it gets the long. This target is 22. So when it did this, I already gave the target of 22, right? So you can see that when I was trying to give the target of 22 right here, and then after that, once it's pushed, and we made hit our target of 22, right? So you can see that we can't just get biased. And personally, I didn't expect it to hold. I think it's a bearish bag holders chart. So I had a kind of my personal opinion in there, but I didn't let my personal opinion to make. If I just held the short because I had a personal opinion that it's a bad stock, I would have like squeezed out and lost a lot of money. But we follow the system. Amateur candle bounce, we get out and you long it. Nice. I did short later in the day. This was our 512 setup. This was our, let's look here. Just want to show you if I can find that pointer. There you go. I did short it like, right here, 512 breaks, and on the retest right here. And I did like got like 30 cents of the trade from there. So, you can see that was the short. So anyways, that was Intel today. Good lesson to learn here, and definitely the money was made. It was a small account setup. The lottos are not always good, but you can trade in the money lottos. So if you want to see like how far the in the money went, here your in the money calls on 21 calls on Intel. Since we turned bullish, it went from 50 cents to $1. Not bad, even if you take 60 to $1, it was a nice 70-80% trade for a small account trader. This is Intel 21 calls. I recommend never take out of the money calls because you see the ATR is just $1. If you just take 22 calls, you will lose a lot of money. It's better to take in the money calls, which was 50-60 cents, and you easily made 100% on that. Nice trade for the small account trader. All right, next one we're going to look up is to DELL. So DELL was our morning short, right? I'll just go to the 3 minutes so that you guys can look at more cleanly. So let's see. So DELL, right here you go, right? So you see that. So DELL, what was the plan on the DELL? So DELL had an earnings bullish to neutral, long over 115. That was the plan. But right away it broke the clouds. If you see the 10 minutes, right away broke the clouds, and that said no longs. Right away I told everybody no longs, just short it, heavy short it. And since I said that, DELL went from that 115, it's the same level, right? 115 is our same level. It was our buy level, and now it's our resistance level. It breaks 115 and it fades to 110. That was a $4 short. Even if you got a part of it, that was fine. Even after bouncing, it still faded. But that was the trade, right? On a 10-minute chart, that was the trade on DELL, was only the short. So you short the pops, make a couple of dollars, that's fine. Now look at this, right? DELL is bouncing from this MTF clouds. Look at that. DELL bounce, and the target was 117. And that was a midday setup. Again, I personally missed it. A lot of traders did take it in the community. So that was a nice one. But that was a morning short, because it's under the cloud. Again, it's under Ripster EMA Clouds. It's not even crossing the MTF cloud, you get out. And look the power of the MTF clouds. It's bouncing from the 1 hour MTF and then is pushing to the daily MTF and it rejects right there, right? So you see that it rejects right there. That's where it rejects. Then it pulls back, pulls back, pulls back. Then you get out here. That's why we always get out. You could have traded from MTF to MTF, from 113 to 116, 17. That was $4 to $5 trade. So that's the power of MTF, guys. So that's how you trade. So I'm very proud of a lot of traders in the community who nailed this. Let's go to the next one. All right, next one we're going to take a look is LULU. So let's see what was LULU doing. What was our plan on LULU? Let's go back. Let's go here. Let's look at the so LULU bullish as long as it's over MTF clouds. So that was the plan. But LULU broke the MTF cloud right away. And I said short under MTF. Short under MTF. Right, the target I gave was 250s and we went to 249. So you can see that LULU trade in the morning that we did. Let me go to the 3-minute chart. Right, I told everybody short under MTF in the first 3 minutes. We break that, we fade, and we go to 249. Simple MTF trade. You see the plan. You can pause the screen and check it out. This is the LULU put in the morning. So the LULU put, this was 260 put. That went from like $2 all the way to $10. So that was like 300% move on the LULU put. Even if you were late, you took at $4, you still were doubled your trade on 100%, right? Or you can trade short the stock. So these are the morning trades, fast trades. So LULU was a great trade in the morning for us. So next one we're going to talk about is ULTA. Now ULTA was completely different. ULTA was bullish. So LULU was bearish and ULTA was bullish. Why? So difference here is you see that ULTA is over our Ripster clouds. That tells me it's bullish. That's my bullish signal. And LULU was under all the clouds. You clearly see the difference between LULU and ULTA, right? So our system tells us now it's all about that. So I tell everyone right at open, bullish, 340 pullback is your risk. I always tell people for the pullbacks because I don't want people to slap it, but experienced traders are already long, and I gave the target of 355. So you can see my, I posted that 9:34, and by 10 a.m. we had met 355 and more. We actually met 360 target, and we were right into those MTF clouds, 1 hour MTF clouds. So ULTA was a beautiful long winner, right? I can show you my pre-market guidance on ULTA if you want to look at that. Let's see here. So ULTA support was 340, 332, resistance was 346, only long over that clouds 346 area. So once it pushes over that, I know it's a long, and I know it's a confirmed long because that's our clouds there. So repeatable setup, right? No doubt about it. No thinking twice about it. That's a long. We were talking about the Bookmap today. Bookmap had a buyer at 340. So we knew that whatever happens, that's our risk. There's a huge buyer, but beautiful trade. So now let me show you the Lotto move on the ULTA, right? So for the ULTA, let's say you were in 350 calls, they went from, since I told everybody to long it, they went from $4 all the way to $10. That was another 100% trade on the calls, right? So it's that simple, right? So I encourage everybody to have their, usually if they ask me, I give the strikes. If you're trading options, if you ask me, I can always tell them. If you ask me on the voice, I can tell you which strikes to take. But this is something you have to learn. Lotto Fridays are usually risky with the options. You need to watch my all previous Lotto Fridays trades, right? So if I'm trading it, I would risk 100%. If I'm buying it, let's say one contract for $400, I'll risk 100% because I'm making $500 by the time I meet my target, right? Sometimes I will make more. And if I don't want to lose more, then I'll try to stay in the money. I try to stay in the money and make profits from those calls. Anyways, ULTA, you see the timestamp guidance before, and there's a pre-market planning right here, and beautiful trade, big winner for us in the morning. That's why we were done in the morning. ULTA, beautiful winner. Let's go to the next one. All right, let's go on. The next one we're going to talk about is MRVL. MRVL was another trade of ours, and MRVL was earning play. So MRVL had bullish bias on the pullbacks, gap fill under 76 or 75. I already told everyone that there's a gap fill under 76, 75. That was the game plan. Okay, watch carefully. So now I see MRVL, I see it. no longs. I saw it's breaking down. It's no long. So I saved everybody that there is a no long, and it's a confirmed short. Once it broke that 76 area, it's a confirmed short. From the 76 short, we got all the way to 73. That was a $3 per share profit on that short, right? So here's what I'm showing you. I'm showing you the pre-market guidance, and I'm showing you my live guidance, and I'm showing you what's happening, right? Even though we were bullish buys, but whenever levels gives up, simple cloud EMA cloud trade, guys. No confusion about that. Beautiful move. I was targeting 72, but we didn't really get it. But that was a winner, guys. Beautiful. All right, now we're going to talk about some of our day 2 setups, right? So I just told you about the strategy that I have. So we have our day 1 strategy, which we trade at the open, that I showed you. Now we have our day 2 strategy. So the day 2 strategy, that's why I create this day 2 day 3 list, which is our day 2 day 3 strategy. If you watch my day 2 day 3 webinar, you will learn and I did that free webinar for everyone anyways. And if you have watched my previous videos, by that now you already know that what we do in day 2 day 3 strategy. So you see that in our day 2 day 3 strategy, what we had was, let's see, so we had AFRM number 1 day 2 setup, support 41.26, resistance 42.17. If you watch my yesterday's video, I talked about AFRM that it can be a multi-day. I clearly talked about that it can be a multi-day. And as soon as I saw the strength, look what the levels I gave. As soon as I saw the strength from 41.26 breaking the 42 level, I knew it's a long. It's a long. Your stops are right here, 41.50, and you take it long, and there's another breakout. You wait for this retest. You take it long right here at 42 level that I gave in the pre-market, and you ride it long. Look at my time-stamped guidance all here. Pause the screen, read it, see how the setup works. Such an easy setup, such a stress-free setup. Let's see how the options did there. So here is your options, right? So AFRM, the 42 call went from 50 cents or 70 cents all the way to $2.80, right? If you want it on the pullback at 90 cents, right, you're risking that because your risk on the options are always based upon the stock, right? If you're risking that, I'm risking 50 cents and I'm buying the options for 90 cents, right? Usually Lottos are 100%, but right, imagine if you bought it 90 cents, you'd still made 200% there, right, on the Lottos. So that's kind of the trades that, I always talk about. You can trade on the options. I was trading the shares, but beautiful trade. You can see the guidance, long trigger right at the open, breaking out of yesterday high, lock more profit, 44.30, 44.60 next targets, roll it, big seller, 45s, and we saw a big seller on the 45s. That's we took the profits. But you clearly see the timestamp guidance, no BS, pre-market planning, everything. That's how you make repeatable account growth, guys. That's how you do it. All right, let's look at next one, CRM. Again, CRM was again my day 2, day 3 setup. If you are in community, remember we have the daily game plan, the day 2, 3 setups, the marketplace. So you see CRM was 256 was pivot and resistance was 259. I saw the weakness under the clouds. Very easy. CRM is under the clouds, under the MTF clouds. Watch my short on the MTF. It's an easy short. No double thinking about that, guys. It's an easy short. So CRM was an easy short, right? That's what I said. If you look here, what I said on CRM, day 2 short under the MTF clouds, right? You see this amateur move, that's fine. You watch for this pop and you hit your short here at 256s, and then you fade it back to 252. Beautiful winner there on CRM. Yeah, let's look at another play from the community. That was MDB. So MDB was, this is another setup, right? MDB, the plan was bullish bias on the pullback, big range. Now, if you see carefully, MDB started to break down the 512 clouds. When 512 clouds break, it always comes to 3450. So I'm not going to long here. So that's why I told everyone that 512 breaks can pull to 3450. So I will short it. Right, so 512 breaks can pull to 3450. That is exactly what happened. It breaks the 512s, pulls back, it goes to the 277, right from 287. It was a $10 fade on that 512 break. So you short it, and once it bounces here, you can long it. You can see it's curling, it's reclaiming the Ripster 3450 clouds. You can bounce it, but that's something you don't learn. All right, next one we're going to look at is SMCI. This was, I personally missed it, but let's look at our pre-market levels, right? So SMCI levels was to 554, 450. I gave these levels, and it was a great trade on SMCI by Meh was one who guided everyone on that trade. Let's see in the trading floor. You can see he started the short there. Prakash was short. Kevin was showing us the breakdown. You see that SMCI is breaking Ripster clouds, and that's what they saw. That's where our team members, they alerted that, or they guided it, the short. And then I watched it right here, and I told everybody we are bear flagging, and we break the bear flag. I gave the 420 target. I gave the 420 target on SMCI, and we met this target. Very proud of everyone, the way they executed. I gave 422s, 420 targets, and you see the traders were on the short on it right in the morning on our trading floor, right at open. The traders like Meh and Kevin, very proud of these traders. I mean, I'm very proud of that. Just look at that. Right from the opening, everybody was on top of SMCI. And we can look at, see the power of the Lotos on SMCI, if you want to see that how they worked out. And remember, Lotos will give up you have to take profits on the Lotto options. Watch my last videos. I'm not going to cover in detail, but if you want to look at it, so let's check out some of these, Lotos, how they worked on SMCI. So let's see. So let's look here. So what you're looking here is on SMCI 440 put. The 440 put went from $5 to $19. That's a 400%, 300% gain on the Lotto puts. So if you're buying this Lotto for $4, you risk the whole $400, and then you're making $1,500. So that's a good risk reward on this short on SMCI right here. When it's breaking the clouds right here, you see that when SMCI is breaking that cloud, I can go to the 10 minutes on the option charts. You must trade with option charts. You can see that initially it was $2. Even on that bear flag, if you took that bear flag, and even on that bear flag, it went from right here from $4 or $5 all the way to $20 by the time it hit my target that I gave everybody. So SMCI was another great winner for everyone in the community. Let's go to the next one. And we provide those levels in the pre-market, so you can stay on top of them. So let's look at coin and MSTR today, right? So we trade coin MSTR. I give the coin and MSTR levels every day to the community. You can see coin support was 189, MSTR was 133.40. And once you see how MSTR is rejecting Ripster 1 hour clouds, and then it faded all day. And the other one was coin. It rejected bearish and faded all day because Bitcoin was weak. So that's why we were short in the community on these. I did mention it on the voice in the morning. You can see a lot of the traders were always on the coin short, and there was always traders on MSTR which were short, because this was the reason, because we always track them. So there are opportunities to make money every day. That's why I provide these levels every day. So let's look at the Baba. Let's see what Baba was doing. So Baba, today we had on our game plan. So Baba was on Friday. So Baba was on our game plan. Here you go. Cautious on 512 pullback. I already told everyone that we can pull back on the 512 first. So no gun go under 83.50. So that's what happened. Baba broke 512s right away. So Baba was a short. I told no longs. I told everyone there's no long. And then Baba pulled to 34.50, bounced, and then it faded again from $84 all the way to $82.73. It was nice $1 short. You could easily short Baba. I short scalped Baba as well. I traded Intel, and my position was on Baba as well. So you could see you short the bounces, you cover that. So you see 512 break and 34.50 break and the level break. Exactly how the pre-market guidance was. That's how it worked out. So that was a beautiful trade on Baba as well. All right, guys, have a great long weekend. Make sure we are running the long weekend promo. Make sure you sign up. You can watch all our webinars that we have, and you can master all these setups that I just discussed, and you can be a consistent trader and come join our community, trade with us. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.